and we're going to start with Total Reprint. Mark Pilgrim, who has done some really cool things in the past, and I think is about to grace us with another fabulous project. So I'll give it to Mark.
Thank you for that. So we are here to talk about Print Shop. In 1984, David Balsam and Martin Kahn created what became the killer app of the home computing market. As Lane was mentioning in their keynote, they were looking for something, everyone was looking for something that would drive adoption. And Print Shop was the thing. And it was not immediately obvious that it would be the thing, as many things are. But it was the brainchild of David and Martin, who, and I just learned this recently from reading Lane's book, which you should definitely buy out there in the event space. But I learned that David and Martin were a gay couple. So, in addition to being just a phenomenally successful product full of whimsy and wonder and kaleidoscopes and rainbows, Print Shop is also a love story. And boy, did everybody love Print Shop. The original version, 1984, could print to a variety of printers in black and white, had a built-in graphic editor, had many built-in graphics, and could do greeting cards, could do signs, could do banners, could do letterhead, and could do screen magic, which the aforementioned kaleidoscopes. 1985, we get Print Shop Companion, not made by the same couple, but very much an add-on product. It could binary patch your copy-protected master Print Shop disk, which is, scary, but the guy who wrote the copy protection also wrote Print Shop Companion. So it was about as safe as it could get. And what that added was the ability to use third-party borders and fonts. Print Shop Color, 1986, rolls all of that up and also adds color printing on the color image writer, which was now a thing. 1988, the 2C Plus, which was weird because it was 8-bit, but you had to boot off of an 800K disk. A number of publishers, including Broderbund, ported their most popular programs to 800K disks so that they could capture the minuscule 2C Plus market. There was also a 2GS version in there somewhere. 1990, new Print Shop, which was a rewrite, which I'm sure was the right choice for Broderbund in 1990. I tried to use it, and I do not like it. I am allowed not to like things, but it lacks whimsy, and it lacks wonder, and it lacks kaleidoscopes, and it lacks rainbows. They took out, you know what I mean, they took out the thinking, printing, animation. But okay, so by 1998, the Print Shop sold its millionth copy. That is an insane number. Everybody, and all it did was print, kaleidoscopes notwithstanding. And you're like, well, everybody in the 80s had a printer. That's not true. Everybody after 1984 had a printer because of Print Shop. Broderbund also sold add-ons, Graphics Library Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. By 1986, the Print Shop Color has been released, and they come up with additional fonts and borders as well as additional graphics. Print Shop Color actually shipped with a special edition, which had borders and screens and also a sampler of graphics and some new graphics from the other volumes, but also a lot of originals. And so all of this leads me to print shop color. Just focusing, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to play with? What am I nostalgic for? The answer is version 2.0. I bet you didn't know this. If you go to, I didn't like make it do that. If you go to the main menu and type Control V, it will show you the version number. And it was a solid 2.0. As I said, it rolled up all of the patches that had been put out in Companion, and rolled up new features with color printing, and it did not roll up the add-ons. They were still selling those separately. So it was good. It had all the things. It still had the kaleidoscopes. It still had the thinking printing. It had the color printing. It had third-party borders and fonts. It ran in 64K, which means Apple II Plus, Apple IIe, basically the whole market. For those who haven't seen it, and I had not seen it until modern times, this is what it looks like if you have a color printer, is that once you choose your text and your border and your graphic and your fonts and so on, then you can choose the colors for each of those individual assets. And so, yeah, you can like make the background. You can use up a whole color ribbon and like, man, you could print a banner. I don't have a slide for this, but you could print a banner in any color or rainbow, and it would just flow through the, okay. And of course, kaleidoscopes, screen magic was still part of this, and of course, the greatest indeterminate progress indicator in the history of the world. That we all know and love. But it was also bad. It was hard to use. It was, as I said, it was one program floppy, and then by the end, if you bought all of the add-ons plus Companion, which also had some of its own graphics and whatnot, and you bought everything that you could buy, you were on 6 double-sided discs. So 12 sides of floppies to go find the thing that you wanted and the whatever, and of course, that was all a lot of money. And of course, copy protection because, of course, no hard drive support because, of course, technically it actually ran on Apple DOS 3.3. It was file-based, except for a few minor lower-level directory enumeration things that I'll get into in the second half. And so there was no upgrade path. They had reached the limits of their design by 1986. This was it. The 2C Plus version that I mentioned briefly is technically pro-DOS, but isn't really pro-DOS. It keeps DOS 3.3 in memory and then has a bunch of disk reading code on top of that as well. I looked into starting with that, and it's not a good starting place. It's just sort of a self-contained thing. So the other thing, and I want to point this out because I fixed it, is it was bad and I fixed it. Is that this was the built-in graphics. Print shop came with like 100 graphics and patterns on the master disk. And you could say, pick a graphic by picture. And it would show you 10 at a time, and you could scroll through with the arrow keys and get a live preview of what your graphic was going to be. And even though the original 1984 version supported data disks with graphics, it looked like this to select one. Just file names, no live preview. In typical 80s fashion, Broderbund shipped in the box a printed sheet that showed samples of all of because this is what you got on screen. So in my opinion, and for the starting point of this project, 1986 print shop is the best print shop. 1984 was too limited. There's no third-party border and fonts. There's no color printing. The 2C Plus version, it actually complains if you try to boot it from a non 3.5-inch disk drive, you can go get a disk image of it on, online and try to boot it from some other, in an emulator, and it'll be like, nope, must boot from 3.5-inch disk drive. And new print shop, no. I don't like it. I don't like it. They took out the whimsy. Do you understand? I was trying to explain to my wife why 1986 Print Shop is the best print shop. New Print Shop has an install to hard drive option, which was the whole point of this project. So why am I not starting with New Print Shop? And the answer is because Print Shop was about whimsy and wonder, and it had kaleidoscopes for no reason except that Martin had already made them for some other project that didn't pan out. This predecessor of Print Shop called Perfect Occasion.
Also, this way you got to break the copy protection.
And there was no copy protection on New Print Shop. Another strike against it. So imagine 2025 Print Shop, starting with the best print shop, in my opinion, but make it hard drive installable. Add all the Brotobund add-ons, so all those 12 sides, floppy sides, and have a unified UI for add-ons. So that by picture with the live preview of the graphics, make that available for all of the other, libraries, the graphic libraries, and the holiday edition, and the special edition, whatever. So I made that. And you can download it right now, and there's the URL. It is cleverly called Total Reprint because I had another mildly popular project called Total Replay that was arcade games and whatnot. So Total Reprint is Print Shop but hard drive installable, and all of the programs and all the add-ons and a couple of bonuses that I'll talk about are in one place and are also installable with the program to your hard drive. You will never touch a floppy disk. You will never touch a floppy disk image. I'll actually show you what you do and what I did instead to the design language. And it has, as I mentioned, the live preview to match the built-in graphics. No copy protection, of course, and still works in 64K. So the full range of Print Shop from 1986, the full range of machines.
Is no copy protection not a strike against it now?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing. All right, so you want to see it?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yay.
What does it say for Control V?
Glad you asked.
Oh.
Wait, I want to do that again. That's how fast it loads. Yay, hard drive. Thank you, thank you. That was actually non-trivial, but okay. So we have all the same things. We have greeting cards, signs, banners, letterhead, but instead of, and so here's, all the borders, the 6 or 8 or 9 borders built in. And then in 1986, this said from other disk. And now it says from Print Shop Library. This said insert your data disk in drive 2. And now it tells you what library is active, and you can press tab and see all the other libraries that are available for choosing borders. So we have all the borders from Holiday Edition, also all the ones that were on Print Shop Companion, the ones that shipped with Special Edition, and also some third-party ones, which I want to show you, partly because thanks to my collaboration with Kay Savitz, who sadly is not here today but has been at previous similar conferences.
But they
under
are
other
alive.
names.
You made it sound like they
He
died.
is alive.
He's alive. He didn't die.
I love you, Kay.
Did not kill anyone in the process of making this.
Thanks
So
to
we're clear.
Kay. Thank you. Thank you for, well, except the fish out there. Thanks to Kay, we learned that the Atari version of Print Shop uses compatible graphic and border and font files. So some of these are actually, and you can see the live preview. Some of these, I don't remember which ones exactly, not the Beagle Brothers, but some of these are from Atari User Group discs that we, of dubious provenance, but you know. And then we have selected a border. And now we go to select a picture. And again, instead of saying from other disk, we can say from PS Library. Press tab. Here are all of the libraries, all the graphics, volume 1, 2, 3, holiday edition, print shop companion, special edition. And then we have emoji game icons from the wonderful gameicons.net, openly licensed illustrations of fantasy and sci-fi things, hand-drawn from handdrawngoods.com, and emoji, which is from the icon font, Noto Emoji, which is an openly licensed font, sponsored, I think, primarily by Google, but is up on Google Fonts and is open source, and you can browse these graphics, which I backported lovingly from the Noto Emoji icon font and made available in Print Shop for the first time ever. Apple II emoji. There we go. Weary cat face. That's perfect. Where are you, cat? She's not even here. She's so weary. Okay. We'll do large and finally, of course, fonts also the same deal. All the libraries are instantly available on the hard drive, and I have also just, sorry, no live preview of the fonts. I couldn't get it working. That's really hard, it turns out. But, all right, we'll do that. We'll do curly. Okay. What? Daiquiri? Really? Okay. It's that time of day. It's always that time of day. Choose your colors, because this is set up. This is an emulator, of course. But Virtual 2 supports the color image writer. So we're going to print stuff in graphic. Nope. Graphic. Let's change it to orange. And print. Excuse me, I'm going to speed this up. It's an emulator, so I can do that. Don't panic. This was unbelievably slow in the 80s. Like, I did not remember. I did this, and I did not remember.
I worked at a
All right.
elementary school in the 80s. My favorite part of the print shop that they picked up we loved was when it was printing.
That's
It was
so large,
thinking.
though.
I would tell them, the computer's not actually thinking, it just thinks it's thinking.
Yes, well, we still have that problem, don't we? And here we have a sign printed, thank you, with a very large emoji and a font that did not exist in 1986 and a border from Atari, and we can tear that off and save it as a PDF. That's just Virtual 2 does that. And
Email that to Kat.
if she were here, that's why I picked the cat, but okay. She's so weary she can't even appreciate it. So anyway, that's it. And then, back to, and then you can just exit and it just quits, because that's what Protoss does. And I have this quit back to my slides. For reference, here are a sample of the new fonts that I've backported. Almost all of these are from Google Fonts, which is a great repository of openly licensed fonts. I'll get to you in a minute, stay roast. And renamed because many of them are trademarked. But I have a credits page that links to all the original fonts. If you want to go use these on a modern computer, you can do that. But yeah, so these, and there's Daiquiri for you, and these, and these. I love them. They're gorgeous. I love them. There are so many good openly licensed fonts. I love it. I love it. And some of these, they just deserve to be print shop fonts, right? Come on, man. And finally, okay. Briefly, non-goals. Total Reprint does not have any DOS 3.3 floppy support. I took it out. As you saw from the live product demo, which worked, there is no point at which you can insert a floppy disk and get anything from it. So if you have a favorite disk of print shop graphics that you made or that your user group made, I can show you how to. You can do it natively on your Apple II. You can copy it over to ProDOS with Copy 2 Plus. You can bundle it up with Shrink It. I'll get into some of the technical details in a minute. So you can do it and then just throw it in the subdirectory and it will show up. It's not hard-coded. It is extensible in that sense. But there's no, importer. There's no direct floppy support. It does not have every add-on ever. As you saw, it has all the Broderbund add-ons. But, as you know, there were lots of print shop graphics and even a couple of borders and fonts. It does not have Print Shop Companion. I mentioned that because the 2C Plus version does. It does not have extra features that were in third-party utilities like, hey, let's go print an entire catalog of all the graphics in this library. That would be a good next, a Total Reprint 2.0 or 1.1 at least. But it's not there, and it's not New Print Shop because no. Any questions about the product side? I'm about to dive into technical details and probably lose some of you. Yes, go.
You print to the screen, so you don't actually print to the printer, or you save it as PDF?
No, that's the emulator. It is printing to a virtual printer, which can save as PDF. This would print to a real printer if we had one set up and had, an image writer. Say again?
Which printers do you support?
Whatever 1986 print shop supported. I did not add or remove any printers.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Other product-related questions? Yes.
Since I am not intimately familiar with the original print shop.
Yes.
Does the post no bills sign, does it say post no bills on original print shop? Or did you? Yes.
Yes. Apparently, yes. The question was, is there a post no bills
Just the icon? when you're
icon,
selecting what you
graphic?
wanna do?
I think there is, yes,
Yeah,
in
and
one
it
of those.
says
I don't
post
know
no bills
exactly
and
where,
yours, and
but
I was
yes.
just wondering if that
It
was.
didn't make you show like when you're doing a card or a sign or you sign.
Oh, that I see.
Yeah.
That's the whimsy.
Yeah, no, that was an example for the
Yeah, no,
menu.
that's
But
great.
yeah, no, you want to actually do that? I'm pretty sure you can actually do that, yes.
Can you put the URL back up, or is that?
I will at the end. I will at the end. The last slide will have it. Okay, so on the technical side, I mentioned that the original version is based on Apple DOS 3.3. Most of the people in this room know what that means. You have floppy support, you have file support. The disk catalog was slightly obfuscated, but it is just files. It is bload and a file name, and it is getting it from, and it's just passing that to DOS, and DOS is doing its thing and coming back, and that's how it loads and unloads parts of itself as needed. So, to get that to work on a hard drive, we're going to have to upgrade to ProDOS. We're going to migrate to ProDOS. The other parts are to get it down, to keep the total file size down. NewFX, which is the Shrink It archive format, and ZX0, which is a compression algorithm, and then I'll get into the opposite of caching, which was a fun problem. So, briefly, Print Shop literally has a bload entry point where it passes in a string like you would type it from the basic prompt. Bload tpage, bsave config, a string 9F95F0, L string, da 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 da. That's literally, it's constructing that string, in some cases dynamically, passing it off. That's how it does all the file operations except one. And so I am transferring that. All of the files within the print shop code are in one directory, which I've called root. And I have Protoss shims that will parse this string, like AppleDOS 3.3 does, and figure out what the file name is, what the length and the address and whatnot, and a few other things, and then redirect to do native Protoss MLI calls. This gets a little complicated with the graphics and the borders and the fonts, because I split them up by asset type, and then under that I split them up by library name. So in the root directory, there is a subdirectory called fonts. Within that, there is a subdirectory called holiday edition. Within that, there is a file called font.balloon. But print shop thinks that that's on disk 2. So all it says is bload font balloon, comma D2. And what I do is, after I've parsed that, I figure out what the current, what kind of asset it's loading and what the current library is for that kind of asset, and then go load the thing. So it's getting a little complicated. Wait, it gets worse. That works, except that I have too many files. And I mean, I have a lot of files. I have almost 1,000 graphic files, individual graphic files. If you know anything about ProDOS, the minimum size of a file on disk is 512 bytes. Even if it's less than that, it will take, because that's the size of one ProDOS block. Graphic files are just slightly larger than 512 bytes. So you multiply that by 1,000 and you have 1,000 almost empty blocks being used. So to combat the ridiculous overhead of ProDOS, I switched from using individual files to putting files within a new FX archive. Think shrink it file, if that helps you. And so all of the code files, print shop files, are now in one file called reprint.data.shk, if that helps you. And they are individual file records within that archive, like a zip archive. Similarly, there is a library for the holiday edition, which has all of the fonts in that. And then in the graphics subdirectory, there's another thing called holidayedition.shk, which has all the graphics in that, and so on and so forth. So again, using the same, keeping track of, what's the current library, and then looking at what kind of asset type are we looking at, we can get to the correct SHK file, look by file name within that, and load. And as far as print shop is concerned, it's still loading a disk from, it's still loading a file under DOS 3.3 from the floppy drive in slot 6, drive 2. Yes.
That was really getting close to exceeding 32 megabytes of the hard disk size, or were you reserving for some other use?
It was not,
Was it worth the effort?
it was worth the effort, because with all of the print shop code and assets and all of the Broderbund add-ons, it was more than 1,600 blocks. And when I switch with individual files, and when I switched to using NewFX archives, no compression, just take them and use NewFX as a file system instead of ProDOS. I gained back 900 of those blocks. So yes, it was worth it. But wait, it gets worse. ZX0 is a modern compression algorithm designed to be extremely slow to compress, even on modern machines. And I have a fairly modern machine, and trust me, it's slow, but it's okay. It's not actually a lot of data that we're dealing with, but extremely fast on old computers. So, if we compress each of these graphics and borders and fonts in the thousands now, and put those in a new FX archive, then we save another 400 blocks. Just an insane amount. Now, Shrinkit had built-in compression. It actually had extensible built-in compression. You could have uncompressed, you could have 8-bit Shrinkit compression, you could have 16-bit Shrinkit compression, which is a slightly different Huffman algorithm. And none of them were ZX0. It didn't exist until like 3 years ago. So what do? Well, if you're Cucumber, my partner in crime, my friend, you write brand new FX library, reader code, and add ZX0 support, brand new ZX0 decompression support to it, and you get libnewfx, which is part of Total Reprint and is on the GitHub repository. And as for using a non-standard compression algorithm, the solution is to standardize it. So we went to Andy McFadden, who is the de facto standard bearer for NewFX, because Citypress is one of the things that uses it the most and has the most, edge case and whatever and all the weirdness figured out for 40 years worth of weirdness.
Didn't he write Shrinkit also?
Say again?
Didn't he also write Shrinkit, or was that someone else?
No, that was somebody else. That was
Oh,
Andy. Yeah.
okay.
No, different Andy.
Okay.
But basically nobody else cares. So, he's hosting the spec and he's hosting an addendum. And so there is now official support in Citypress 2 for creating ZX0 compressed files as records within standard NewFX archives. And I use that in the build process. So I know it works. And I use Cucumber's code, native code, to decompress them, and it all works. Briefly, because it's 5:01. This is the thing about the opposite of caching. Any questions about the compression? It's amazing. Print Shop has no idea what's going on. That it's really like getting stuff and auto decompressing a record from within an archive on a hard drive. Nope. None the wiser. That's the way abstractions, API boundaries should work. Okay, so Print Shop uses, the 1986 version, uses 12 kilobytes of the language card, the upper 16K. ProDOS uses also 12 kilobytes of the 16K language card. So you see my problem. I have a memory problem. And this, what it does, why it uses it is for loading the borders and the fonts and caches things on selection. When you select a border, it will load it at that time because the floppy might disappear later, right? Because floppies. These can all be on 12 different floppies. But what if there were no more floppies? The way Print Shop works is you select everything and everything is in memory, and then there is a line where it literally swaps out most of main memory and brings in the printing code. Takes out the menu and the selection code and the whatever and brings in the printing code. Because that's what you gotta do. So, fundamentally, the fundamental axiom is that everything you need to print whatever it is you're printing must be in memory. Fuck. I'm out of memory. But what if I weren't? The borders are actually small. I can put them in main memory instead of language card memory, so okay, that's 200 bytes total. But the fonts are a problem. And so instead of caching the fonts at the time that you select the font, I cache the name of the font and load it up in some properties so that the edit text resizes properly, but otherwise kind of defer it. And then during print time, we'll actually go load it from the hard drive instead of swapping it in from the language card. And that sounds really simple, like, well, of course you would do that. And that took 2 months.
We were just waiting to be instructed.
That's the download URL again. You may take a picture of that. Find me on Mastodon. Find me on Gopher. Thank you all, you beautiful humans. I'm so glad we could be here.